What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my series where we're making a game similar to the game The Binding of Isaac. In a previous video, we made the secret room, and so we're going to be going back into that and fixing it because we made it before we added all the other logic to the map. So I'm just going to quickly run to the secret room. I just turned on the feature I added as God mode or something. It's not really God mode. It just gives me a lot of hearts and makes me run faster and do more damage. Yeah. Oh, you know what? There's no colliders on the water here, so you can just walk over it. That's kind of bad. Anyway, so if you put a bomb by the secret room door, it will blow up the wall, and then you can go through it into the secret room. For right now, I've just used room number 6 to do this instead of actually making a secret room. So this is the same exact room as room number 6 from the regular rooms. In the next video, or one of the future near videos, I'm not sure if it'll be the next video or not, we're going to be making a custom secret room that is actually unique for this. So anyway, the entire project is available for download in the description of the video for free. You're welcome to download it, and you're welcome to use anything, like any of the assets or anything you want to in your game. You're welcome to use. None of this stuff is like licensed or anything like that. I just made it, and this is just like a hobby. I'm never going to sell this game. It's just going to be for like fun and for people to learn. But another thing to note is, like, if you go in the room and the doors are not opening, it's because we're not using the same script that we go through the regular doors with. So when we enter a room that has doors, there's an animator attached to the door that gets enabled. But when you go through this door, these doors are not going to be like this. They're going to be portals the exact same as this portal. And so that's why that's not opening it, is because like I haven't set that up. So like it doesn't turn on the animators on the doors because they're not going to be that kind of door. They're going to be portal doors, just like the portal that goes into the room. But if you guys enjoyed the series, make sure you like the video and subscribe to my channel. All right, so I'm going to give you a quick rundown of how the current map is working. So you start in the start room, and in each direction, there's a 50% chance of another room spawning. The method is recursive, so when you get in this room, it also has 50% chance in each direction of a room spawning. Rooms that already have a room in that direction will not overwrite. So like if you're in this room, it's not going to generate a second room here. It checks for that. It also checks one room over. So if it tries to generate this room, it will check in these directions, every direction except for the direction it came from, to see if there's already a room there. That way the branches aren't touching each other so they don't overlap and merge. Otherwise you would have something that I've seen actually in a lot of other videos where they're making maps. Like you would probably end up with like rooms like this where it ends up having like just rooms everywhere, which we kind of want branching. We don't really want we don't want all of the squares to be full or whatever. Eventually each branch will end, because the 50% chance will not happen. But also there's a limited distance away from the start room. So there's like a map size, which is a variable which you can change. While these tiles are being generated, there's a class that represents each tile, and that class saves the data for the room. It saves like the room number, which the room number, when you walk into the room, that's what room gets turned on as an actual game object on the left here. And the location, so like where it is in 2D space, like X and Y wise, the image, the sprite. So the image is the actual thing that's on your screen, and the sprite is the picture that's going into the image. Revealed and explored. So revealed, if you go near a room, it gets revealed. Of course, the secret room doesn't get revealed automatically. It only gets revealed if you go into it. Cleared means you've killed all the enemies inside of the room. This is the default unless there's like an enemies folder located inside of the room. The room type is used to determine what type of room it is. The anchor room is used for these. So these rooms that have 4 squares, they have to get drawn on the map in the correct spot. So the anchor is right here. So it's like 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1. There's an anchor room because when you draw this on the map, if you don't put an anchor and it draws the image from here, it will be like this, and it will go over top of everything. So that's what the anchor room is doing. I think top right was supposed to be marking that it's the top right room of 2x2 room. Now we did entire videos on each of the rooms that we added to our map generation algorithm. So if you want in-depth information about how it's working, you're going to want to go and watch those videos. So after we're done branching, the farthest away room from the start room will get the boss room generated next to it. And then after that's done, it takes the list of all of the rooms that exist and puts them into a new list, and then it shuffles the list. And after it shuffles the list, it goes through the list that it shuffles, and it just checks. Like, so like, for example, if this was the first room, it could check here, here, and here. And if any of these three options are not having any rooms beside them, actually, it can have rooms beside it. If any of these spots are empty, it will just put the special item that or special room. Those rooms are added via a reusable method. So if you wanted to add like a cursed room or a sacrifice room or some other room to the game, that's totally an option through the same exact method that we use to generate those. Yeah, so right here, generate special rooms. So all you need is a map icon and the room type, and you can add as many of these special rooms that you want. So after we've generated this is the shop and this is the item room, then we're done generating everything. Then we generate the secret room, and it does it in the exact same way where it shuffles the list of rooms that exist and it just finds an empty spot beside one of the rooms. There also has a restriction. It will only put it in a spot that has an absolute value of less than or equal to 2. So the absolute value just takes away the negative. So like if this is the start room right here, then this is 1y, 2y, -1y and -2y. If you take the absolute value of these two values, it just takes away the negative. So that way you can see if the total number is less than 2, regardless of whether it's negative or not negative, the absolute value has to be less than 2 or 2 or less. So that makes it so that it should spawn technically near the start room. Now, this might have needed to be like 1 or might need to be some other restrictions because it looks like it put it here, which is very close to the boss room. The whole purpose of that was kind of to make it so that it starts somewhere near the start room. So that way, if we do have the super secret room at some point, which might happen, who knows, it will be we'll be able to put it in a position that's closer to the boss room, whereas the initial secret room should be closer to the start room. We're not going to bother fixing that today, but it's just something to know, like it's an option to restrict it even further. And then the other thing is these rooms can't spawn beside the boss room. So none of these rooms at all can spawn like next to the boss room, because the boss room is like its own little floating island kind of thing. Like as soon as you go into the boss room, the rest of the level is gone forever. And we don't have multiple entrances to the boss room, so you're not going to be able to like walk into the boss room here or here. You would have to there's only one path that leads to the boss room. So anyway, so we're going to go through the code now, and I just felt like I should give a quick rundown of how the current map algorithm is working, because most people, if you're just watching this as your first video, you're not going to understand. All right, so the first thing that we did to do this is we made an X. So really, you could just open any image editing software and just make an X. It's not very difficult. So then from there, we created a material with the X. So if you drag this as a sprite, so it has to be a sprite into this slot inside of this, and we also put this into the emission, and then we changed it to be transparent, and we turned off preserve specular, and we turned the alpha all the way down to 0. So by default, you can't see this X on the wall, but if I drag this into the game and I click on this material and I turn up the alpha, where is it? Oh, there it is on the wall right there. So you can see it, right? So there might be an item or something that actually reveals the X, so that way you're able to find the secret room. It won't make it this visible though. It will probably be like something more like this, so that it's slightly visible, but it's not like you're going to be able to see it all the time. And so after we made the X, then we needed to start on the actual code that makes this X appear on the wall. So inside of the generate level script, we have a start method that creates a room. And then it does what we were talking about at the beginning. So it checks each direction if the value is greater than the room generation chance, which is at 50%, or it could be higher, I can't remember. And so it does each direction, and then it generates a room in that direction, and that generate room it does the same kind of check on each of the directions, and it does a bunch of other stuff. After it's done, it generates the boss room, and then it will generate a treasure room, a shop, and a secret room. Then it checks that the treasure room and the shop both got generated. If it didn't, because there might not be enough spots, like if the branching, let's say it starts out and there's only 50% chance in each direction and all 4 checks fail, so there's only one room, well, there's not going to be a spot to put the item room, the shop room, and the boss room that don't touch each other. So if it doesn't successfully find a spot to put the treasure room or the shop, then it will try again. So If it tries more than 30 times, then it will give up and it will return from this method and it won't generate the map at all. So this protects you in case you make code that doesn't work. If it crashes, then you could lose. Unity doesn't autosave, so if you don't save your code and you run this and it doesn't work, then you're gonna have a bad time. So if it does work, then we go ahead and generate the actual doors and that kind of stuff as well. So this is the method here that generates the secret room. So let's go to that. So we shuffle the list of rooms that we already have, which I've covered how to make that list for the very first videos of the series. There's like 5 videos in a row where I show you how to make the map. But so we're shuffling the list so that it's randomized. Then we're checking if the absolute value is greater than 2 on so it's going through the list of rooms, and if the absolute value is greater than 2, or it's vector 2.0, which is the start room. The start room is at 0, 0, or the room type is not rooms or 2x2 rooms, because we only want to attach this to a regular room. So we don't want to attach this to like the item room, the boss room, the shop. We also, there's like top bottom rooms and left right rooms, and so like we don't want to put it, like, if let's say you have a left and right room, we don't want to put it above a left right room because there might be nothing, like no way of getting to that wall inside of those rooms. So we're only attaching this to regular rooms and 2x2 rooms for now, and this might only be regular rooms at some point, but for right now we're going to do it with 2x2 as well. Then we're checking all of the directions. So if these things all pass, then we're checking all of the directions around it, and we're checking that. Oh, this is not necessary. Actually, it is, because if there's a room, like, so let's say this is the start room and you go here, then this one has a chance of, because it's not 0, 0, this is 0, 0, but this one has a chance of generating it here, and we don't want it touching the start room. So this is required. And then so for each direction, we're checking if there's a special room in all 4 directions around it. So if it goes to generate here, it's going to check all 4 directions to make sure there's not a special room beside it. We don't want a special room beside the secret room, because each of our special rooms, like the item room and the shop, have their own door. And so let me show you, hang on. So like, let's say you go into the item room door. This calls these methods to draw the doors and that kind of stuff, but it doesn't draw the secret room. I'll probably do that in a future video maybe, or just off camera. I'll probably make it so that they can have the secret room beside it. But for right now, each of these doors has its own code to go into the room. And if you don't add it inside of here and it gets generated beside it, you won't be able to go in the room. So just to keep this more brief, we're not allowing rooms to get generated beside secret rooms or special rooms, I guess, not secret. So then if the type of room is not rooms or 2x2 rooms, found special room becomes true. And if it found the special room, we're not going to do this. We only want to do this if it didn't find the special room. So this will add, so it will create new room at this location, and create new room should actually be titled create secret room, because this just creates a secret room. That's all it does. So the other thing to note in this script is that it's generating a random number between 1 and the number of transforms inside of the secret rooms. So if you add more secret rooms, this is our secret room right now, by the way, it's just like a black room. If you add more secret rooms that are numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, etc. in this folder, then they'll automatically be added to the chance of you, like, that's how all of our rooms are working so far. So like if you add more game objects to this folder called secret rooms, automatically when your secret room gets generated, it will random between those secret rooms. And so that's how the room numbers are working for all of the rooms, not just this one. It's for the item rooms, the shop, the boss rooms. It just randoms a number between 1 and the number of, for regular rooms, it starts at 6. Because initially I was going to use room number 1 as the boss room, room number 2 as the item room, number 3 as the shop or whatever, but then I didn't end up doing that. So like each of, like, for example, our start room, if we added another game object here and named it 1, then every time we started the game, there would be a chance of 0 or 1 spawning. And that's how like the room randomization is kind of work. All right, so the change room script, this is a script that allows you to actually go between the rooms. So the generate level script creates the level. The change room script is when you walk into a door, this is what takes you from one room and puts you into the next room, and it changes your position on the map as well. So what we've added in this case is we've added the secret room X, which is like the X that gets drawn on the wall, and the door, which is like that portally looking door that we saw earlier in the video. So there's only actually a couple of methods in this script. So there's the collider hit. So when we walk into the door, this is what happens. And then that starts like a chain reaction that has all of these things happening. So there's a few methods that we need to cover. So this reveal rooms, this is what, so when you enter a new room, it checks all of the rooms around that room. And if the room is not a secret room, it reveals the anchor room for that room. So if we take a screenshot of this, so for all of the singular tiles, they're all anchor rooms by default. But if you have a room like this, let's say you're here. Sorry, you move here from here, right? Okay, so you're here and you move up to here. Well, technically, you're not beside this room because this room is recorded as here. So the room that's actually revealed is the anchor for this room, not the entire room, because this is technically 4 rooms, but all 4 of them are this room. When you enter a room that is not the anchor room, it just enables the anchor room for that room. Again, very confusing topic. If you want to find out more, go all the way back in time to when I made the 2x2 rooms video. Watch that video. It's an hour long. It's very confusing. And yeah, so this will make it so that all rooms next to a room when you enter it. So let me restart this and I'll show you. So like right now, if you look on the map, this room beside us is revealed, like quote unquote revealed. And so when we enter this room became revealed. And when we enter this room became revealed. So that's how that's kind of working. Let me just, so then the subsequent method that runs after this, so this sets the revealed status to true for the room, right? But it doesn't actually reveal it on the map. It's just affecting the class. So like inside of our level, we have rooms here, and revealed is becoming true if that's the case, like if it meets the criteria, but that doesn't actually draw it on the map. It doesn't actually change the map at all. So this subsequent script called redraw revealed rooms, this is what actually draws them on the map. So it goes through the list of all of the rooms in the level. And if it's revealed, then it gets a gray color. And if it's explored, which means you've been inside of it, it gets the full white color. So then we have this method called enable doors. And this is what actually, when you enter a room, it checks what rooms are around that room. And if there's a room that's to the right of the room, it will enable the right door. If there's a room above the room, it will enable the top door. And if you're in a 2x2 room, which means that there's 8 potential doors, then it has to deal with that as well. So this is the script that does that. Again, the script is pretty complicated. So we've got like an array of like the possible doors here. This is for 2x2 rooms. Let's just do so this is for normal rooms. Let's just look at the normal rooms for right now. So here we have an array of tuples. So a tuple is like a really dirty way to make like a class without actually creating a class. So you can create 3 variables and then save them into an array so that you could just use those values. This just makes it easier to, instead of creating a class called door or something like that, we're just using a tuple as like a dirty quick way of like, it's like an anonymous class pretty much. So then we're going through our list of tuples and we're getting the direction of each of the rooms, because when we put the door, we want it to be facing towards the middle of the room, essentially, right? So each of these is going to be facing a different direction for it to be facing the correct direction. And then at the bottom here, we're checking the room type. And if it's a boss room, item room, or shop room, then we're instantiating the subsequent, like the door that is associated with that room is what's getting spawned. And if none of these things are true, then it will just set the door that's already there to be active. And so that means that if we have, in the case of like these rooms where we're using these portal-y looking doors, let me just go into the scene view. We're using portal doors. So you could have any type of door here and it will enable it. And as long as it's called, So we have a folder here called doors, left door, right door, bottom door, top door. It will enable that game object. And as long as it has this name, when you walk into it, it will do the change room script again. So that's kind of how it's working. And then if the room exists and it's a secret room, then it does the same script here, and then it does two possible different things. Okay, so if the secret room is open, which is a variable that we've added to our player, so when you enter the secret room, this will get enabled. If it's opened, then it will draw. Sorry, if it's not open, that's what this exclamation mark is. If the secret room has not been opened before, it will draw the X on the wall. And if it's already been open, so like if it's open, then it will draw the door, or it will create the door so that you can walk through it into the secret room. So this means like if you walk into the secret room in one direction, then it will be enabled from all entry points. So I guess this is kind of a bad example. So if we blow up the secret room here, I think it's here, yeah. There's not two doors. So, but if there was a room here, if you go into this door of the secret room, then the top door would be open already, like automatically. So it opens all doors that enter into the secret room at the same time, because we're just using one variable to determine whether we've opened it in the past or not, which allows us to leave the room and come back and have it already be open. You can barely see it in this room. It's there, but it's hard to see because our wall is a visual effect graph. I'm going to be changing how this looks at some point. This video is more about like the actual code, but you can see that it's here. It just blends in really well with like this visual effect graph that's already here. Okay, so now we need to talk about how this is working. So there's two things that we've added. So there's the X that gets generated when it doesn't exist already. And again, this is invisible, so you can't see it on the wall, but you can blow it up. If you put a grenade beside it, it will blow up. And that's another thing that we have to do as well. And then there's the secret room door, which is this one. And that looks like this, right? So both of these things have a script attached to them. So let's start with the X. So if we go into the script that's attached to this X on the wall, we have a method in here. So we have an explosion, which is something that we made in the previous video. If you scroll back to the very beginning of this series, there is a secret room tutorial where we make this explosion. And then we have a secret room door, which is the door that's getting spawned when we blow it up. So the open method instantiates the explosion and it destroys it at the same time after 2 seconds. So that way that game object is not lingering in the scene. Then it creates the secret room door at the position of, at the position of this. So at the position of the explosion, it creates this. And then it copies the rotation of the X because the X is already rotated towards the center of the room as part of the other script that generates the X. And then it puts it inside of the game, like the transform of the room that we're in. So that way, if we leave the room, it disappears. And if we come back, it's there still. And then we're setting the name of it to be the name of this game object plus secret room door. The name of this game object will have like top door, bottom door, left door, right door, etc. So that way it knows what to do when we walk into it. And then we're setting that variable that we were talking about, secret room open, to be true. So if you blow this up, then the secret room is open and it stays open permanently. And then we're destroying the X that was on the wall. This open method is called from the bomb script. So we did a whole series of videos on how to make it like a flashing bomb that blows up. So inside of the bomb countdown, after the explosion happens, it creates an overlap sphere for where the bomb is. And then if it hits this secret room script, which the X has the secret room attached to it, if it hits it, then it can call that open method that's inside of the secret room script. Okay, and this is the very last script that we have to go over. So this is the same exact script that we did for the item room. And you can see that here in the comments. So it's a copy paste of the item room, and we don't need to worry about this being unlocked. We don't need that. So when so this is the start method for the secret room door. So this just casts a ray from where it is at the floor layer. And if it hits the floor, because if your door is spawned in a spot that's above the ground, this will just move it so that it's close to the ground. So some of our rooms are very like wavy and they have like different heights to the floors. And we want the the door to be near the ground. So this just moves it downwards towards where like the ground is. It just casts a ray and it moves it downwards. And then we covered that in the item room video. And then if you walk into this, on trigger stay basically means if you walk into it and you stay inside the trigger, then it will check that it's the player that is doing this, because this is attached to the door, so anything could trigger that, right? So it will make sure it's the player. If it's not the player, it returns. And then it will make sure that you've already cleared the room that you're in. You don't have to clear the room that you're in to go into the secret room. If you blow it up, you could just go through it right away if you want to. And then enter room. So this prevents you from entering it twice immediately. We're turning off the room that we're in, and then we're going into the secret room. Since there's only one secret room right now in the level, it's just finding the very first secret room in our list of rooms. And then it's setting the current room to be the secret room. And then it's finding the secret room. It's turning it on. Then it's revealing the rooms around it. So if you go into the secret room and there's a room beside that room that you haven't seen before, it will reveal the rooms and then redraw the icons on the map. It disables the player controllers because you can't move character controller while it's enabled. If you do, it will just teleport back to exactly where it was. So we disable the player controller. Then we teleport the player to a spot in the room based on where you were. So like if you enter through the left door, you should spawn in front of the right door because of you want to be in front of the correct door inside of that room. And then we re-enable the character controller, and then we enable the doors inside of that room, and then we destroy all of this stuff. So like drops, attacks, and disposable items like the boss door, the item room door, the shop door, all that stuff gets destroyed as part of the cleanup. And then we destroy the game object that we're going through, and that's it. All right, guys, thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. It really means a lot to me. If you liked the video, make sure you like the video and subscribe to my channel. Remember, you can download the entire project for free from the description of the video. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you guys in the next one. Uh-oh, what's the boss doing? The boss door shouldn't be there.